The parts of the brain: the frontal lobe, the temporal lobe, the occipital lobe, and the parietal lobe. The occipital lobe is responsible for what we see, this for what we listen. We understand meaningful speech because of this temporal lobe. Here in the frontal lobe, we process a lot of information. Let me explain you what can we do in that part of our lobe. Well, it carries out with mental processes such as thinking, decision making, and planning. It is also responsible for the motor cortex and the somatosensory cortex. Motor cortex, as its name says, is responsible for the voluntary movement. It sends signals to our muscles to move. And the somatosensory cortex, well, they have a lot of receptors that detects pressure, temperature, and physical signals like trauma or pain. The parietal lobes are responsible for the taste, temperature, and touch. So, this is the parietal lobes. Temperature, taste are some of the functions that this parietal lobe carries out. Then the occipital lobes. As I tell you, that's responsible for processing visual information. All these four parts are or compound the subcortex of the brain. Let's go to the cortex. Let's look inside. Well, inside what we have is the corpus callosum. That corpus callosum interconnects the two hemispheres. And its main function is to integrate motor, sensory, and cognitive performances between the two hemispheres of our brain. Then we have the thalamus. The thalamus is this orange part of the brain, or of this diagram of the brain, and it has to do with all the signals coming from the sensory and motor cerebral cortex. And it also regulates consciousness, sleep, and alertness. Then we have the hypothalamus, and the hypothalamus is this part, yellow. The hypothalamus functions to link the nervous system to the endocrine system through the pituitary gland. This is the pituitary gland. The amygdala, it is responsible for emotions, survival, instincts, and memory. This tiny part of the brain. Then we have the cerebellum. The cerebellum receives information from the sensory systems, the spinal cord, and other parts of the brain, and then regulates motor movements. The cerebellum coordinates voluntary movements such as posture, balance, coordination, and speech, resulting in smooth and balanced muscular activity. This is the cerebellum. And last but not least, the brainstem, which regulates vital body functions such as cardiac and respiratory functions, and acts as a vehicle for sensory information. Well, these are the parts which compound the cortex of our brain. Thank you. Bye-bye.